Apricot in Armenia meaning, history and distribution. Apricot is of primary importance among the fruit crops grown in Armenia. In fruit science, it is valued for the early fecundity of trees, the annual yield, the early maturity of fruits, their nutritional value and healing properties. The summer solar heat of Armenia, the arid climate, fertile, calcareous, well-warmed lands and abundant water resources ensure the production of high-quality apricots. Armenian apricots have long been mastered by world civilizations. Already in the 80s of the 19th century, they decorated exhibitions and fairs in Moscow, Paris, and London. Literary critic R. Ishkanyan established that the neighboring peoples of Armenia, the Assyrians, Byzantines, and Parthians, called apricot Armenia 6,000 years ago, which translates as the Armenian fruit. Already in the 3rd millennium BC, acacia trees were called apricot Arman, that is, Armenian, and Armenia Armani, the land of apricots. The ancient natives of Mesopotamia, the Chaldi Arameans, called the apricot tree Hazura Arman and the Armenian apple trees. In Arabic, one of the names of apricot, Tufa al-Armani, which translates as Armenian apple. The Persians called apricot Zerdalu, the Uzbeks, Ulyak, the Tatars, Arik, the Turks, the Gaizi, Italians, Armenians, the British, apricot, the Germans, apricot, the Russians, apricot. All these words in translation mean yellow, orange, light, Armenian fruit, Armenian apple. In the 1st century BC, the Roman commander Lucullus, returning from the war with Tigranes the Great, brought back apricot seedlings from Armenia, called the Armenian plum there. The great botanist of the 18th century, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, noticed that this was not a plum, but a representative of a new genus, and named it Armeniaca vulgaris. According to K.F. Costin in 1936, in the 1st century AD, apricots were imported from Italy to Greece, in 800 grams, to France, in 1524, to England, in 1654, to Russia, in 1720, to America, in 1750, to Africa, and so on. All these studies confirm that Armenia is indeed the oldest country of apricot cultivation, its true homeland. The specific composition of apricot is a type of fruit tree of the rose family, native to Armenia. China and Central Asia are also ancient apricot growing centers. There are 8 known wild apricot species. Wild Chinese apricot. The trees are 4 to 10 meters high. The leaves are rounded, serrated at the edges. The petals are white or light pink. The fruits are oval. The core is 10 to 30 grams. The common apricot is found in the wild in China, Central Asia, and Armenia. Siberian apricot. It grows in the wild in Siberia and Mongolia. It is a shrub 3-5 meters high. The leaves are small, and the fruits are difficult to eat. Siberian apricot blooms early, but it is characterized by drought resistance and high frost resistance. The picture shows a Siberian apricot. Chinese apricot is common in mountainous areas of Japan. The flowers are small yellow, and the flesh does not separate from the stone. The fruits are round, the tip is not sharp, the surface is rough. The picture shows a Chinese apricot.
Manchurian apricot.
The trees are very large, up to 20 meters high. The fruits are small but bitter. This species is characterized by high frost resistance. This has a breeding value. The picture shows a Manchurian apricot.
Apricot of David.
Similar to the Siberian apricot, the tree is widespread in the southern regions of Siberia and Manchuria. It blooms later than the Siberian apricot and is more resistant to diseases. The picture shows the flowering of David's apricot. The Armenian subspecies originated from the local wild apricots. The main distribution centers are the historical provinces of Aragatsit, Vayotsitzor, and Nakhichevan, which together have more than 50 varieties. The trees are long-lived, frost-resistant, the branches are thick, the buds are large or medium, the flowers are large, the petals are white, rarely pink. The fruits are rounded or elliptical, of medium size, 25 to 120 grams. The flesh is thick, mostly yellow, rarely white, separated from the bone. The bones are small and medium-sized, rounded, oval. The fruits ripen from June 15th to August 15th. This subspecies of apricot includes two main ecotypes, Ararat and Naive. Ararat apricots originated in the modern Ararat Valley and its adjacent foothills, Ashtarak, Abavian, and other regions. These include apricot varieties, Nushi, Yerevan, Hasravenickanakini, Dignanish, and Spitak. The Narian ecotype is widespread in the territory of modern Megri, Yegagnadzor, and Nakhichevan districts. It includes the cultivar groups Nakhchivan, Satini, Karmran, and Megri. The North Caucasian subspecies is widespread in the North Caucasus and Dagestan, is similar to Armenian apricots, belongs to the varieties Musa, Shindiklan, and Chakabar. Central Asian apricots are characterized by strong growth, longevity, and drought resistance. The picture shows Central Asian apricots. Central Asian apricots have annual branches that are thin and drooping. The leaves are small, ovate. The flowers are small, the petals are white or light pink. The fruits are small and medium-sized, 10 to 40 grams.
The flesh is thin, white yellow, separated from the bone.
The stone is large, the flesh is sweet or bitter. The fruits are consumed fresh and dried.
The sugar content is low.
The main source of origin is the Fergana Plain. The most famous varieties are Akharin, Arzami, Saphani, Kursadik, Guluan, and Luchak, Kichpshar. The Chinese subspecies is widespread in the northern and eastern provinces. The main characteristics are similar to the apricot. Among the varieties, mainly Meiho, early apricot, Wangxing Shandong, Baiyuxing white jade, Shirshing silver apricot, Tassiwan Xing red large fruits. European subspecies, the oldest source, Italy. Later, it was brought to America, Australia, and Africa. The fruits are medium-sized, 30 to 100 grams. The content is low, the acidity is high. The picture shows the European subspecies, the flesh is yellow or orange. The bones are large, rounded, and elliptical in shape. Representatives of European apricots, pineapples, ambrosia, red cheeks, Hungarian, Tilton. Introduction, crossing, and breeding have significantly contributed to changes in natural, climatic, and nutritional conditions in cultivated varieties and the varieties that have emerged from them. It has long been known that the peoples of Central Asia have selected and propagated more useful varieties for themselves. The hot climate, soil conditions, and surrounding deserts also contributed to this. Europe, with its rich soils and mild climate, has produced varieties with large fruits, bright colors, moderate sweetness, and high acidity, meeting the unique needs of the population. Finally, in terms of soil and climatic conditions, varieties suitable for various forms of use have been created in Armenia. The duration of evolution and the nature of the transmission of hereditary traits of this species also contributed to all of them. Based on this, we can say that the seed propagation of wild apricot has led to the creation of the best existing varieties, almonds, Yerevan, Kasravin, Givant, Conasini, Dignanish, and other varieties. Studies of apricot hybrids from different groups have shown that Armenian varieties have higher vegetative and generative characteristics compared to Central Asian and European varieties. Apricot varietal groups in Armenia. Apricots in Armenia come in a wide variety of varieties and shapes. Local apricots, which are well known in cultivation, are not fruitologically isolated varieties. They represent a fairly large variety of populations, which can be called varietal groups. In general, while retaining the characteristic features of the same group, they differ from each other in the shape of trees, leaves, flowers, the degree of fruit color, quality, ripening time, and other features. According to morphological, biological, economic characteristics and the place of distribution, Armenian apricots are grouped into 10 varietal groups, including 50 varieties. Nakhichevan group. This group includes varieties of Nakhichevan yellow, Nakhichevan white, Nakhichevan red, and Wajinsky varieties. Of the varieties included in this group, only Nakhchivan Red can have production value. Avagen and Nakhichevan Yellow can be used in breeding operations to produce super-ripe apricots. The picture shows apricots of the Nakhichevan group. Previously, these apricots were found in the gardens of Yerevan and Megri, but now they are common in Yegamadzeri. The best pollinators are Yerevan, Satin, and Hamban. Each tree gives 80 to 150 kilograms.
The best of the super ripe varieties. A group of almond apricots.
This group got its name because of the shape of the fruits. There are 3 varieties in the almond apricot group: early ripening almond apricots and regular almond apricots. They differ from each other in the longevity of the tree, the shape of the fruit, the dry matter content, sugar content, and maturity. The picture shows almond apricots. They have no general resemblance to the Central Asian variety of dietary supplements. The varietal group of Yerevan apricots is of the highest quality and industrial importance. This varietal group is also considered one of the best apricots known all over the world. The name Shalak is also used for this varietal group of apricots. The homeland of the varietal group of apricots of Yerevan is the Ararat Valley. The tree is distinguished by its durability, drought resistance, and resistance to diseases and pests. The fruits of the Yerevan varietal group differ from each other in shape, size, and fruit quality. This group includes early ripening, Ararat, and early ripening varieties. They bear fruit from 30-year-old trees weighing up to 1,000 kilograms. The best apricot varieties of the Yerevan group are Satin, Ashakan, Kasravan, Aragats, and Kamban varieties. The apricot group is Satin. The Satin apricot group is the most popular among apricots after the apricot group in Yerevan. This group of apricots includes varieties such as Satin Yellow, Satin Red, and Golden. They differ from each other in the size, color, and quality of the fruits. The Satin apricot group gets its name from the amber color of the fruit. The group is distinguished by drooping branches and disproportionately round-shaped fruits. They are used fresh to make jam. The varietal group of apricots is Khosrovan. This varietal group was considered a royal fruit in the past. The Khosrow apricot cultivar group probably got its name from growing in the gardens of the Khosrow kings. In Armenia, 3 varieties of the Khosrovina varietal group are known: early maturing Khosrov, red Khosrov, and ordinary Khosrov. All these varieties are distinguished by high-quality fruits.
The varietal group of apricots Dignanausch.
These apricots got their name due to the yellow color and egg-shaped shape of the fruits. The Dignanish apricot varietal group is currently the rarest varietal group among Armenian apricots. It includes 3 varieties: early ripening Degnanish, late ripening Degnanish, and Ashakan. In terms of the quality characteristics of the fruits, these varieties occupy a first-class place among local varieties. Trees enter fruiting at the age of 5 to 6 years and continue to produce good crops for up to 100 years. They are suitable for all forms of use. Late ripening Degnanish is interesting for production crops and breeding work aimed at creating apricot varieties with a high sugar content. The Kanad-Chun apricot cultivar group is one of the most common apricot varieties grown in Armenia. They got their name due to the unique green color of the fruits and pulp. As a result of seed propagation, several varieties have been bred that differ in fruit shape and size, ripening time, and agritechnical characteristics. This group includes the early maturing canode of the central nervous system, the late maturing canode of the central nervous system, and the usual canode of the central nervous system. The fruits are used fresh and to produce very high-quality dried apricots. They are also suitable for making compotes and juices. This variety can be used to create forest plantations and for breeding late-ripening varieties. The varietal group of apricots is Fed. This varietal group of apricots is found in almost all apricot growing areas in Armenia. In terms of the content of solids and sugars, it ranks first among local varieties. It doesn't have a variety of shapes. Within the varietal group, there are only two varieties that differ from each other in some characteristics, the large-fruited and the well-fed. These are late-ripening varieties. The trees are fertile and productive. Very high-quality dried apricots are obtained from the fruits. The variety is interesting for use in industrial crops and for breeding varieties with a high sugar content. The varietal group of Megri apricots. This group includes several varieties grown in Megri. They are known as Megri, Sweet, Koi Persimmon, Agulus and Ordabat. All the mentioned varieties are characterized by a high content of solids and sugars and are mainly used for the production of dried apricots. The frost resistance of the sweet variety is average, but it is highly susceptible to damage from spotting. The yield is relatively low, 30 to 60 kilograms are harvested from one tree. The yield of Megra is high, 75 to 200 kilograms are obtained from one tree. The persimmon variety is quite valuable. A negative characteristic is the poor separation of the pulp from the bone. The varietal group of apricots is Spitaki. This group is characterized by trees with a round crown, vertical branches, large leaves, flowers and fruits. The peel and pulp of fruits of all varieties are white or creamy, medium-sized, juicy, with varying degrees of sweetness and quality. Fruits ripen in the middle and late stages. They are used both fresh and processed. Processed fruits produce high-quality jam and dried apricots. Fruits are not suitable for compotes and juices. This group includes some of the oldest varieties, such as Hamban and Givenden white apricot, as well as newer varieties of Ashtarak and Aragats. Varietal group of Kargi apricots. Kargi apricots are mainly concentrated in the most ancient fruit regions of Armenia, such as Artashat, Ashtarak, Abavian, Ikniadzin, Yahignadzor, Megri and Yerevan. Studies have shown that the shapes of Kargi apricots originated from wild apricots growing in Armenia. Modern Kargi apricots are the result of subsequent sowing of seeds, selection and folk breeding. According to their botanical, morphological and economic characteristics, they represent an intermediate form between cultivated varieties and wild apricots. Among the Harji there are some that resemble wild apricots in a number of ways, while others are local varieties. Forms suitable for drying are common in Yahignadzor. In general, Kargi apricots are so diverse that it is difficult to find several trees that would be identical in all respects. Each Harji tree is a separate shape. Diversity is manifested in the size of the tree, lifespan, frost resistance, degree of susceptibility to diseases, flowering time, fruit shape, and other characteristics. Fruits can be rounded, ovoid, or elliptical. The peel has a different degree of pubescence, white, greenish-yellow, and yellow color. The flesh can be white or yellow juicy, often fine-grained, brittle, fibrous, and in most cases well separated from the bone. The fruits are used both fresh and processed. Dried apricots, compotes and high-quality juices are obtained from processed fruits. Some forms with frost resistance, drought resistance and high qualities are suitable for growing in forest gardens, forest protection strips and breeding work. Biological characteristics of the apricot. The apricot is a strong, growing and large-sized tree. Under normal growing conditions, its annual seed plants reach 1.2 to 1.5 meters in height, and grafted seedlings, 1.6 to 2.0 meters. In Armenia, fully ripened apricot trees have a height of 5 to 12 meters, a crown diameter of 6 to 15 meters and a diameter of 80 to 200 centimeters. In Yerevan, Ashtarak, Echmidzin and Yegignadzor, there are 100 to 150-year-old trees with a height of up to 20 meters. It is the largest in size, as a result of which its flowers are sometimes damaged by spring frosts, frequent adverse weather conditions and rains during the flowering period. Apricot flowers are mostly light pink, the wallpaper is hollow, and the border is crisscrossed. Apricot blossoming in Armenia begins when the average daily temperature reaches 10 to 15 degrees for 80 days. Flowering of all varieties begins almost simultaneously, with an interval of 1 to 3 days. Apricot blooms violently from 10.00 to 14.00. Among the local apricot varieties, early ripening Nushi, early ripening Khosrovini, Kormrini, Katsarini, Nakhichevan red bloom earlier. The varieties Ararat Aragats, Yerevan late, Khosroin ordinary, Ashakan, Vasparakan, Gevan bloom relatively late. In years when winters are moderately cold and snowy, spring comes on time, there are warm and sunny days during flowering, and apricot blossoms flow quickly. In such years, it lasts 6 to 7 days and yields a high yield. On the contrary, warm winters are followed by unstable seasons, cold weather, and temperatures. Fluctuations are exactly 20 hours, rains delay the flowering process, bringing it up to 10 to 12 days. The ripening of apricot fruit varieties varies greatly in terms of ripening time. This becomes more significant if the same variety is grown in different agricultural subregions. In the same zone, it takes 10 to 12 days for each apricot variety to ripen, and 45 to 50 days for all varieties. The maturation of various apricot varieties continues. In Sayunik, from June 1st to July 15th, in the Ararat Valley, from June 15th to August 5th, in the foothills of the Ararat Valley and in Yegignazar, from July 5th to August 20th. In order for apricots to live in Armenia as long as possible, it is necessary to plant them in different zones and subzones. Thus, due to the proper placement of apricot orchards in the foothills and Yegignazar, the period of use is extended by 20 to 25 days. The ripening period of an apricot depends on the biological characteristics of the variety, soil and climatic conditions, meteorological factors, the height of the tree, and its health. Early maturing varieties. Maturation begins on June 20th and lasts until July 5th. This includes early maturing varieties of Nakhchivan, early maturing Nushi, early maturing Konkan, and early maturing varieties of Kasroy. Medium ripened varieties. Fruits ripen from June 6th to June 20th. In terms of quantity, medium ripened varieties make up the majority of local varieties. This group includes ripe ones, ripe satins, ripe hasroans, ripe yellow-eared red-eared and red-eared hasroans. Early ripening varieties. Fruits ripen from July 21st to August 10th. These include Ordabadi, Oragat Sinjavant. If all the listed varieties are cultivated in the foothill zone, maturation is delayed by 5 to 20 days. Profitability in cultivation is distinguished by high, medium, and low-yielding apricot varieties. The yield depends on the biological characteristics of the variety, the agroclimatic conditions used, the height of the tree, and the grafting. Among the local varieties, they ripen relatively late: Yerevan early ripening, Yerevan late ripening, Satin yellow, Khosroyan red, Kanakini late ripening, Ashakan, Ararat. Full-fledged fruiting begins at the age of 8 to 10 and lasts until the end of the tree's life. In Armenia, 15 to 30-year-old apricot trees yield 50 to 200 kilograms. At the same time, there are trees with a yield of 500,000 kilograms in Ararat, Armavir, and Ashtarak. Harvesting apricots should begin when the fruits have a certain color, weight, and contain the appropriate amount of sugars, organic acids, and other nutrients. Prematurely harvested fruits wither, while overripe ones cannot withstand transportation and have a low market value. First, class fruits are Yerevan varieties of early ripening Ashakan, Gold, Khosrovan, Ararat, Aragats.